James, I have a question to ask you. I'm going to tell you a little bit of details here about PlayStation Spartacus, but I want you to tell me if this is an absolute failure or an absolute win, James. And there's just a
Right
lot of
now?
controversy on the timeline.
You
We're
want me
going
to
to
tell
get
you
through it
right
and then I'm
now?
going to I'm going
Okay.
to ask you, okay? I'm just
Okay.
prefacing with the question. PlayStation Spartacus, or the new revamp for PlayStation Plus, has been revealed. This comes from the PlayStation blog. Since launching PlayStation Plus in 2010, Sony Interactive Entertainment has been at the forefront of innovation with game subscription services. Well, sometimes. We were thrilled to be the first console membership service that included a refreshed library of games through PlayStation Plus, and also launched the first console game streaming service with PlayStation Now. Today, we are pleased to share with you the official news about changes coming to our subscription service. This June, we're bringing together PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now in an all-new PlayStation Plus subscription service that provides more choice to customers across 3 membership tiers globally. Our focus is on providing high-quality, curated content within a diverse portfolio of games. It says below is an overview of the 3 membership tiers, but I actually took this from Push Square because I feel like they gave a more clear description of it than on the PlayStation blog. So
Mhm.
this part comes from Push Square.
Cool. First off, we have the PS Plus Essential. The PS Plus Essential tier is the one for any current subscribers that wish for their membership to continue the way it already is. That's talking about PlayStation Plus subscribers, I assume.
Yeah,
This is simply a
current.
rebranding of what we know PS Plus as today. Okay, there we go. Simply with a new name. This tier gives you one PS5 game and 2 PS4 games each month as part of your memberships, or as of your membership singular, as well as access to online multiplayer, cloud storage, and exclusive discounts. So the monthly price for that is $9.99 US dollars. Yearly price is $59.99 US dollars. Is that
So no
cheaper than
change.
current PS Plus for?
No, I think it's $10 a month and then 50, 60 a year.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought it was 70 a year for some reason.
But this goes on sale. The year stuff goes on sale quite a bit. So like I saw Nibel tweeted this. He's stacked like till 2027 because he got it for
Jeez.
like $30 or
Yeah.
something, $25. So he stacked up. He's like, this could be the worst decision. Like, let's say they change the tiers. Like, this might be a terrible decision for me. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Kind of
so
is.
next up, we have the PlayStation Plus Extra, which is the tier above Essential. If you want to add some bonus PS5 and bonus PS5 and PS4 games on top of your basic PlayStation Plus package, the PS Plus Extra tier is the one for you. This essentially combines the pre-existing PS Plus and PS Now services under one roof. With the added bonus, it now includes PS5 titles. Pretty cool.
Very
This
cool.
catalog is said to reach up to 400 PS5 and PS4 games. All of them will be downloaded
That's huge.
or downloadable. At launch, the lineup will include obviously Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, Returnal, and among many others.
Where's Ghost of
James,
Tsushima?
where's Ghost of Tsushima? I don't know. Who
Better be
knows?
on there.
Monthly, this is going to cost you $14.99. Yearly,
Not bad.
this is going to be $100. So, this is saying for $5 extra a month, you're going to have access to 400 currently released PS5 and PS4 games. That catalog they say will be refreshed regularly. So, I don't know if that means they're taking away or just adding to that catalog, but so you're going
Good
from
question.
the $60 base and then you have the $100 extra. That's the yearly prices.
And then we're gonna bump it up a notch. Because next we have the PlayStation Plus Premium tier. The highest tier includes the most features, as you'd expect, on top of everything included in the PS Plus Essential and Extra tiers. You'll also have the ability to stream PS3 games to your console. These titles are only available for streaming. Download options won't be present. Also, this catalog will extend to PS1, PS2, and PSP titles, which will be downloadable. So PS1, PS2, and PSP titles all downloadable, PS3 titles not downloadable.
Yeah.
In total, the list of PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games included is said to reach 340. A list of what's included isn't available at the time of writing this. Finally, time-limited game trials of newer titles will also be available through PS Plus Premium. So, say a new game like God of War Ragnarok comes out, boom, you'll be able to download a trial, see if you like it before you buy it. The monthly price for PS Plus Premium is $17.99 US dollars. The yearly price is $119.99 US dollars.
Oh, yeah, you're right. For some reason, I thought I heard that as like way more money in my head. I was like, wait a
Because of
second.
the decimal? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's so we have 3 tiers here: the $60, the $100, and the
It's
$120.
also worth noting that Jim Ryan said nothing is set in stone, but currently, or as this will launch, they're not going to include day one launch titles on PlayStation Plus, whether that's premium or extra, or I mean, it wouldn't be essential, but whether that's extra or
Yes,
premium.
because he said that it would hurt the first party studios if they were doing that. And they said people like Jim Ryan said that people are already buying the first party PlayStation games, so there's no reason for them to launch day with the streaming service, which is interesting take. I don't know if I agree or disagree with it completely, but I don't know. I was in a Twitter space yesterday,
Yeah.
and it was terrible. It was
Really?
so terrible. The people were just so rude. It was all of a sudden a comparison like, well, it's not better than Game Pass, or it's not better than this. It sucks, like this and that. And it was just people just yelling at each other, dude. It was horrible. There's
Ugh.
like 400 people listening to this thing. I'm like,
Ugh.
why? I was ready to just be like, I'm starting another one where we can like I want to talk about like the
We can
details and
actually
not like
talk about
you're a
it.
fanboy, I'm a fanboy. We're all like
Right.
that. It was
Mhm.
terrible. But they brought up some interesting points, James. They brought up some interesting points. I can't lie.
Like,
One of them being the owning games,
yeah.
the downloading and owning games discussion. There was a lot
Yeah.
of people in there that love owning games, and they feel like with this subscription or Game Pass, they're not able to own games. But that's just that's a streaming
But
like
isn't that kind of like, doesn't that just go like if you don't if you want
yeah,
to own your games, just don't be a subscriber. Like just
exactly,
buy your
exactly,
games.
totally. But okay, looking at these 3 tiers, James, right now you have the PlayStation Plus
I
essential
do.
when it launches. What are you thinking? Are you tempted to upgrade to extra or premium at all?
So here's my thing. As much as I want to appreciate older games, I've had this discussion with Gabe quite a few times, especially after playing Jack and Daxter the precursor trilogy.
Yeah.
I just don't think I enjoy retro games as much as I think I do. In
Yeah.
my head. Older games just don't really hold up for me. I've gotten really used to and accommodated to modern streamlining and quality of life of a lot of modern games, and for me to go back to like PS2, PS1, even PS3 era games is difficult for me.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I will probably be upgrading to PlayStation Plus Extra, especially because I canceled my Netflix subscription.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put in a little more money into PlayStation Plus Extra, see if I can play some of those PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 titles that have been
Yep.
really difficult for me to justify buying because of, backlog and everything. Like seeing Death Stranding on here, I'm like, damn, this is one of those games. I was like, I
Yep.
just don't want to shut my. Do you know what I'm really hoping for, Vin?
What?
Final Fantasy 7, baby.
Who knows? Who knows? We'll see if
I
it comes on
I
there.
think that has a high chance of being on here because that's kind of
Yeah.
like one of the Sony games that I feel
Right.
like just makes sense to be on this platform.
Yeah. For me, I would say the extra tier is looking good. I'm not going to go for the premium tier. I know it says, I know it's great. You could play PS1, PS2, PS3 games. I have those consoles. So if I have really, really wanted to jump back and play something, I'll probably play it on there. And those times are so few and far between.
Right.
I'm not playing through. I mean, there's a couple examples. I want to play the Metal Gear games. I want to play all the way from Metal Gear 1 on the PS1. So I could see myself subscribing to let's say Metal Gear comes to this. I would assume it's coming to this. I would hope and pray it's coming to this.
Yeah.
I could see myself subbing for a month or something to be able to play those, because getting the discs for those is so tough. I know I can buy an emulator or get an emulator and do that, but I kind of want to just have that experience, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could see myself subbing for a month or something if I'm trying to play an old game that I'm not able to get my hands on. But I don't need to do this. I don't want to pay for the games that I might already have. I have a huge library of PS1, PS2, PS3 games, the discs, in binders. I got it all set. I don't want to pay to play those games, which is another argument I heard on the timeline yesterday as Xbox. If you put in the disc to an Xbox and stuff, you can run that version.
Too.
And that's what I want.
That's really huge.
This is great. This is awesome because people will pay this for the convenience factor, and it works for some people and it makes sense. So that's great. I'm happy they're offering this. But the thing that is blatantly missing from all of this is I would love to put my old disc in a PlayStation and then be able to play the game. Whether that be stream the game just with the disc giving access to stream the game, or actually being able to download and play that game on the
Right.
console, right?
Right.
It's
I
a
think another thing that is missing from this that Xbox does offer their Game Pass is there's no mention of sort of upscaling or higher frame rates or any sort of game boosting
Mhm.
to any of these retro titles, which I think they're in desperate need of. I mean, when Sony initially released like old PlayStation 2 titles on PlayStation 4, there was that kind of upscaling to 1080p, but not necessarily of the frame rate to 60 frames per second,
Yeah,
especially because a lot of these older games do run at 60 frames per second, but just as really, really low resolutions.
sure.
Um, and
I mean, and
I'm
the technology, like you're playing that on a like
exactly,
CRT back then. So
exactly. And a lot of the like those games that were played on CRTVs need to kind of be like a little refresh and upscale because it's a different experience going from a CRT
true.
to a HD, 4K, whatever.
Yeah.
These new digital format TVs. So I would love to see something like that, but
Mhm.
it's just not here yet.
Yeah. So like again, I might sub for premium for a month if I have something.
Right.
But I think PlayStation Plus Extra, like I'm not gonna jump the gun and like subscribe to this now like right away. I'm gonna kind of see how that's going. Like
Mm-hmm.
because the thing is I'm glad that Extra allows you to download games because if you just were streaming those games, I would not upgrade. And
Right.
for the first party games, like I like to own those games. Like I love to own the first party games, but everything else I totally don't mind playing just like
Right.
the downloadable or I don't know,
Right.
all that. But
And then
yeah,
going back to the discussion that Jim Ryan said, like not owning these games and not buying them hurts the studios.
mm,
It goes back to that
you only said
conversation.
it's a first party. Yeah.
Right. Oh, right. First party. But I'm just wondering, like we talked about this before, but how does that money from these subscriptions actually get distributed to the studios? Which is
I
still a
don't know.
lingering question that I haven't heard any journalist talk about. I would love to hear from a journalist who knows that like side of the
Yeah.
economics to explain that to me.
And
But
my
um,
assumption is some of them get paid for it in a lump sum in the beginning, and some of them get paid.
mhm,
I feel like that's a different deal per game, per studio, per
sure,
thing.
that
Like an
makes
indie
sense.
game, it might be a huge. They buy the game, not buy the game, but like they give a huge lump sum. Like this is how much we're gonna give you to have the game on our platform. Whereas
Hmm.
like maybe when Destiny was on Game Pass, maybe they were paid a certain amount of money,
Mm,
like it's a bigger game, so like people are playing it for longer and stuff like that. Whereas the
right.
indie game, people might play for a while and just hop off. So I don't know.
That makes
I'm
sense.
curious about that.
That would make sense. But yeah, if I mean, again, if it just goes back to if you want to support the studio, buy the fucking game.
Yeah, right. Unless unless they're getting a great deal through this,
Unless
because
you're
I mean
getting a
I
great
will.
deal, and I want to be cautious or not cautious, but just
Yeah,
be sensitive toward like, I mean, I don't have the money to buy every single first party game at
me neither.
launch,
No shot.
So this is like day one. I'm gonna upgrade to PlayStation Plus Extra, dead ass, like
But
so
they're
easily.
not doing day one games on PlayStation Plus Extra. So
Right, right,
like
right. So you'd
yeah,
have to
you would.
wait a little bit until they get added or how like I don't know how
Yeah,
that's going to look if that's just going to be like oh like we don't actually have a certain buffer zone, they'll just be added when they get added, which would
yeah,
also kind of suck. I want them to kind of say like
right.
here like this is when like this you can expect this sort of time window
Like what
after
HBO Max is doing. Like it's going to
mm-hmm.
theaters, but like like if it's a Warner Bros movie, they give the release dates like 2 months after it's in theaters. You'll have it on HBO Max. You can watch it, but that's usually a
Right,
set date that you can find out before it even goes to theaters, which is pretty
which
cool.
would just be really nice to have.
Yeah, but I'm interested, man. I can't wait to see like really how this goes. How this
Right.
goes. I mean, I
And
don't want to get into the comparisons with Game Pass because that
no.
just becomes a conversation. It's like obviously they both have very different features right now, and some people feel like their money is better spent at Game Pass. Some people might think this is where your better money's spent. But guess what?
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
can decide.
You
You can
can
decide that for
decide.
yourself.
You
Yeah.
have autonomy.
Yeah.
One last thing is this comes out in June.
Yeah.
June is also kind of when we expect to see a lot of place, like almost like a PlayStation experience, a sort of like big state of play.
Right.
Vincent, do you think that this announcement and this new framework will play into whatever, like, I don't know whether they're going to announce certain things coming to the service even then, like, do you think this is the end of what we'll hear about this before it launches, or do you think the launch will kind of cascade into other announcements and tie-ins and things like that dovetail off of it in the June summer season?
I I don't believe this is the last we'll hear from this
Okay.
subscription service. I feel like they will detail it again before it comes out, and we might see some changes. I think there are some glaring just
Mm.
things here that are just missing or not
Do
enticing
you think
enough.
that was intentional that they unveiled it early
Hmm.
to allow the public to kind of give initial impressions and so they can hear the audience's reaction before they fully release it in June so they can make
I
changes
think
in between?
I think that's a smart move. I think that's a smart move. I
Hmm.
mean, even through the PlayStation blog, they said that they don't have the lists. I mean, they're not giving the lists yet. When those lists come out, that's going to be a big selling point. Like, oh, why? Oh, there's these games on it. Like that might be a reason to upgrade or something like that. But I think there's more than that. I think there will be more than that. I just don't know
Yeah.
exactly what yet. But I think you're going to get maybe 25% of your current PlayStation Plus people to even upgrade to Essential, and you're going to get maybe 10% to go up to Premium.
You
Maybe
mean
10%.
extra?
Sorry, Extra. Yeah.
Really, I think extra will be the main bulk of current PS Plus members because
Okay.
I think PS Plus members want more games. I think they're not satisfied with the PS Plus
Mm,
Essential tier games of the month, especially
yeah,
because of how flaky they can be at times in some months.
sure.
But they want more, and so I think the general bulk of people currently subscribed to PlayStation Plus will go to the extra, especially because it's not that big of a jump
Hmm.
between monthly to, or sorry, from the month to month, $10 a month to $15 a month. I think they'll shell out. That's like going from no ads on Hulu, or sorry, ads on Hulu to no ads on Hulu.
Yeah,
So they're like, you know what? Like, I'll just pay the extra $5 and I'll get a ton more titles that I
yeah.
can. I'm even like, this is another question. Like, will they allow you to access the whole library of PlayStation Plus titles that they've like released in the past that you've maybe missed?
That'd be great. That'd be great. I don't know. I don't know. We have to
And would
see
that
because
even be worth it? You know what I
I,
mean?
yeah, it could be. Here's the thing I need to think about here. When I look at the PlayStation Plus Extra collection, this
Mm-hmm.
area, I'm thinking about it. It's very hard not to think about Game Pass when I think about this,
Of
right?
course.
Because
Of course.
that is a huge catalog of games.
Mm-hmm.
This does not have the day one like Forza. Like Forza's not dropping like
Right.
day one, or
Right.
the equivalent would be Gran Turismo's. Well, I guess that's
Mm-hmm.
not really equivalent, but racing game.
Yeah.
Like that's not dropping day one. It's not going to be on this.
Right.
And that to me, like I don't necessarily need those to drop day one, but it's a great feature. And
It is a great feature.
I think people that are trying to be as frugal as possible with their games, Game Pass is smart, dudes.
Game
Game
Pass
Pass,
Smart.
that's
But also think
makes
about
sense.
think about a lot of these people. I would say like 70, maybe more percent of people who are PlayStation Plus subscribers don't have a PC or Xbox.
Right, right, right.
You know what I
That's a
mean? So
totally
like you can't
yeah.
even it's hard to make that comparison in terms of, oh, they would go in the direction of Game Pass or
Oh yeah,
PlayStation Plus
right,
because a majority of PlayStation players are not dipping their toes into the other
right.
bodies of water, if you will.
Yeah. Um Also, my other question was, is this going to have a lot of third-party games? Like, obviously, 400, there's not 400 first-party games, but like, I want to know
Yeah,
the extent of like, are you picking up newer? Well, it's not newer because there's no day one games, I guess. But like,
right.
how is that going to work? I'd
Yeah,
love to see how that's going to go.
I think the big lingering question going out of all this is how long will it be till we see recent titles on? I think the recency and like in order to stay relevant, you need to have recent titles on this
Yeah,
service. You can't just be pulling back like, oh, here's this title that you forgot about, like from all these months, from all these years
which isn't
ago.
bad. I just want that on top of everything
It's
else.
not bad, but like it's
Yeah.
that's not your priority
And
for the
but
service to
I
make it
think
relevant.
I think this service is aiming at what you just said though.
which I
by
think is
not
a
having
bad
day
model.
ones.
I think it's a bad model if you're gonna pull from play like if you're gonna pull from games that like everyone's forgetting about. Those are. I
Yeah,
mean, maybe you're like, oh, we want to bring things back to be relevant, but that's not where the buzz is. Like, if you want to be a part,
no,
like we talk about playing games early on when a game first releases because there is that hype, there's that buzz going around, there's that
I
conversation, and people want to be a part of those day one, day two, that those beginning week conversations.
yeah.
And if this is going to lock players out of being out of those conversations, it's do you think this also in another way sounds like like I don't want to say a money grab, but like do you think it just is made to
No,
stimulate
because
those day one profits? Because
I think right here there is enough to pay the extra $5. There's plenty of games to play. This is great.
right,
This is great. But Jim Ryan has made it very clear to me, at least through the statements, through the blog, through this announcement, that he is not at all worried about the recency thing you're talking about. If he was worried about that, he'd be releasing these first-party games on this subscription, like 100%. Are you kidding me?
but
Especially like
should he be worried about it?
yes, yes.
I
I
think
just
so
don't know the
too.
right way to implement that. But he's made it clear that this is not that, like through many statements and just the way that this is presented. It's just not. It's not a part of this.
Which I think is a miss.
I think it's a miss as well. Yeah. I think overall, I was so underwhelmed by this announcement. Not
Yeah,
because, and I don't think just first party games would have even overwhelmed me anyways. Like I think it had to be more than that, and this was not more than that. This feels
it
like it's
wasn't more than
coming.
that.
It's kind of shooting at the hip. It's just like boom,
It
here you
is.
go, take it. Like take it and
Yeah,
leave it.
almost
Here it is.
almost it feels a little obligatory in response to Game Pass. It's like,
Yeah,
oh well,
yeah,
like now you can't say we don't have our thing.
right. And
And that's
you know
it.
what?
It's nothing
I'm
more than that.
don't get me wrong. I'm glad this is here. It's just not everything I wanted it to be, but I'm glad it's here.
Yeah,
Because
it has to be here. Like that's the thing is it
it
has
does.
to be here. PlayStation Now could not have existed as it did
No,
previously.
and I mean, what was PlayStation Now? It was a $10 subscription a month on top of
Something
PlayStation
like
Plus.
yeah, yeah,
So you'd be paying like 25. They basically just they axed. They made you pay $15 less to get the PlayStation Now benefits, which is pretty nice. It's not
yeah,
That's not terrible, but there's nothing extra on top of this
right.
unless you go premium, which you're getting those PS1, PS2, PS3, PSP games, which
Yeah,
again is cool. It's just not for me.
yep,
So we'll see.
yep.
That was a great clip. That was a long clip. I
It was a long
appreciate you
clip,
guys
22
so
minute.
much for watching. If you want to listen to the entire podcast, you did listen to a big chunk of it, but we got a lot more stuff to talk about this episode. So if you want to check that out, you can go to audio platforms, get that for free, or become a member right here on YouTube and check out the full video podcast. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you later.